Alright, let's get it.
Is insulted in public. His pride burns.
And don't disrespect me like that. Better start the right place to start, my boy. You feel me? Hold on. Let me just adjust you first before we get into any of this. The Art of Emotional Control. Machiavellian Guide to Self-Mastery. Okay.
Imagine this. A man is insulted in public. His pride burns, his chest tightens, and his hands tremble ever so slightly. Every instinct inside him screams to react, to shout back, to prove his dominance, to win that moment.
Okay.
But the one who truly holds power doesn't move. He doesn't flinch. He looks at his enemy, smiles faintly, and turns away. The crowd sees composure, but what they don't realize is
Nigga, you about to tell me about that turn the other cheek bullshit?
that he just won a war without raising a finger. Because emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings.
What's it about?
It's about mastering them so completely that they serve your strategy, not sabotage it. Machiavelli would say that the moment you lose control of your emotions, you lose control of your power. A person who cannot govern themselves cannot govern anything else.
Okay, I don't know if any of y'all have been hearing, anything along the lines of what was just said right now. But I've been, you know what I'm saying? The idea of just like somebody who doesn't even have emotional control over their own emotions, right? That like reflects a lack of self-control. A lack of self-control within, the emotional aspect of the body. So obviously that cannot be good, right? So that's like just plain simple. You know what I'm saying?
It's not your enemies who destroy you.
It's just now I'm expecting, you know what I mean, just the breaking down of the details, how things. I mean, I feel like that's probably one of the main reasons, one of the highest reasons why I just flipped the content theme from whatever it was to psychologically driven topics, I guess. You know what I mean? Dark psychology. I named it dark psychology right now because I do want to dive into the darker aspects of psychological issues, bro. You know what I'm saying? Even with just psychological stances or POVs that may be positive. You understand what I'm saying? I'll show you an example and then we'll keep it moving from there. So
It's your reaction to them. And that's where self-mastery begins.
Sure.
Not in learning new tricks or tactics, but in learning to silence that first impulsive wave inside you. See, people often mistake emotional control for coldness. They think it means feeling nothing. But Machiavellian mastery isn't about becoming a stone. It's about knowing when to feel deeply and when to appear indifferent. It's about turning emotion into an instrument. Think of anger, for instance.
Yeah.
When anger controls you, it's destructive. But when you control anger, it becomes energy, focused, precise, and terrifyingly effective. Most people are emotional slaves. They react instantly to the smallest provocation.
No, that's
Someone
facts.
cuts them off in traffic and they're boiling.
Talk about road rage, man.
Someone disagrees online and they're typing like their life depends on it.
And that could probably be just like, probably like 95 and upwards, 95% and upwards of everybody today, nigga. We talk about the youth especially, you know what I'm saying? Younger people. It's
Machiavelli
crazy.
understood that society rewards those who can appear calm when others lose their minds. Because in chaos, the one who looks composed becomes the one everyone follows.
It's a valuable
But
trait.
emotional control isn't just about what others see.
What you mean?
It's an internal game first. You must train yourself to notice the exact second your emotion starts to rise. That split second is your battlefield. When someone disrespects you, your brain floods with chemicals, anger, shame, fear of losing face. Your primitive mind demands revenge. But power comes when you learn to pause right there, when you can look at that emotion like a scientist, not a victim.
Yeah.
What's happening here? Why does this make me feel weak?
Why?
That's where self-mastery begins. In turning emotion into data, you must become your own observer. When you're humiliated, ask yourself, not, how do I make them pay?
But don't you become your own therapist at that point, right? I feel like you become your own therapist, and at that point, we need any therapists professionally, you know what I'm saying? But that's what self mastery does, though, right?
But why does this touch me so deeply?
Why?
When you're jealous, not how do I outshine them, but what in me feels threatened by their success? Machiavelli's brilliance lies not just in strategy toward others, but in strategy toward the self.
Yeah.
To rule yourself, you must understand the machinery inside you. Now think about how easily people can be manipulated when they can't control their emotions.
Sure.
Politicians, marketers, leaders, they all play one simple game. Provoke emotion to control
emotion.
behavior. Fear sells. Outrage spreads. Validation enslaves. The masses don't think, they feel, and then they call it thought.
Damn.
Machiavellian mastery is the reversal of that cycle. You stop being the one controlled by emotional triggers, and you start seeing them as signals to exploit.
Signals. Signs. So just like messages from, your emotional body telling you something. Because, I mean, everything is meant to work as one system, right? So that's how we can actually say emotions are important in that sense, in the sense that, you know what I'm saying, they provide the kind of data that is valuable for you to, even do, things like make your next important move, bro. Emotions are freaking important. I mean, I remember asking myself, I mean, it wasn't even long ago, bro. I was like, bro, I mean, I asked myself, like, to me, it's trivial, but it's deep, right? It's like, dog, why do I have these emotions, dog, when I'm legit, that time I'm like in my 9 to 5, right? I just got emotionally triggered, but at a 9 to 5, there's just like a way you're supposed to act. You know what I mean? When it comes to reacting to situations. So now you get somebody that I had somebody that was on my tail, so to speak. Pause. Right? But I actually messed with how I reacted. I love that. I love how I handled the situation because I was able to compose myself. But in that moment, man, you could be burning like, you could be burning with anger, burning with just like rage. You feel what I'm saying? So when those moments happen, I ask myself like, yo, why do emotions even gotta exist when you have systems wherein you have to suppress that shit to maintain your, you know what I mean, your existence within certain environments, aka still be within like your 9 to 5, nigga, and not lose your job. Make sure you don't lose your nuts. Make sure you don't lose your marbles and go wild and pop a cap on it. You know what I'm saying? Pop a cap on a nigga head. Real fast, real quick now. But you know what I'm saying? Like, emotions is important though. I get it.
Or resist. When you're angry, people can read you. When you're sad, they can use pity against you.
Why?
When you're desperate, they can predict you.
Nice.
The emotionally reactive person is an open book. But when you learn to hold emotion without displaying it,
you become not easily readable. I get it.
People grow uncertain.
And that scares them.
They don't know what you're thinking, what you might do next. And that uncertainty gives you leverage. That's why Machiavelli often emphasized the importance of appearing one way while being another. Control over appearance is the extension of control over emotion.
Yeah.
If you can appear calm while your blood burns, appear compassionate while you're calculating, or appear disinterested while you're observing, then you've crossed into the realm of true mastery.
Nice.
You've stopped being a player moved by emotion and become the strategist who moves others through theirs. But let's be real. Emotional control isn't something you wake up with one day. It's forged in discomfort. You build it every time you resist the urge to prove yourself.
Yeah, well, you gotta control something. And to control something comes with a whole lot of like, oh my god, effort, nigga. Brain power. You feel what I'm saying? Energy. You feel what I'm saying? Just like blood, sweat, tears. Before we even get to the mastery of the, you know what I mean? Because now, and you talk about control. Control, I mean, when we talking about the word control, what comes to mind? Nigga, authority. The word authority. You know what I'm saying? Authority, nigga. Having the final word. So, how you decide your emotions go, that's where they supposed to go. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, you develop that. You develop that motherfucker right there. You know what I'm saying? You don't just bump into that, right? But then it's crazy how it comes easy for others to develop that. You know what I'm saying? Versus others.
To react, to defend. Self-mastery grows in silence,
For real?
in restraint. In that moment, you want to speak.
Oh my
But
God,
don't.
that's so true though.
When you learn to watch the wave of emotion rise and fall without acting on it, you're rewiring your mind for power. And the truth is, your emotions aren't the enemy.
They're not?
They're the messengers of your deeper patterns.
Nice.
When you feel rage, it's pointing to a fear of powerlessness. When you feel jealousy, it's pointing to where you've abandoned your own potential.
Okay, yeah.
When you feel sadness, it's often a call for realignment, not weakness.
No weakness.
Machiavellian wisdom isn't about killing emotion, it's about decoding it. Let's break this down in practice.
Let's do it.
Imagine you walk into a room and someone mocks you, subtle or direct.
Right.
The ordinary mind feels insulted. The ego screams to respond, to restore balance. But the Machiavellian mind sees something else, a test, a mirror,
Why?
a chance to observe how fragile the ego still is.
Why?
The emotionally reactive person fails right there because they give away their state of mind. They become readable, predictable. But when you smile faintly instead, when you say nothing, but your eyes remain steady, that's unsettling. It sends a message that you're not a surface-level creature.
Damn.
You live beneath it, and people instinctively respect that depth,
Yeah.
even if they don't understand why. Power in silence, however, isn't about passivity. It's about dominance through self-possession. You don't fight every
Self-possession.
battle. You let others expose their lack of control while you conserve yours.
Right.
That's why those who talk less, react less, and reveal less.
And I don't think this has anything to do with, you know what I'm saying, anything red pill though, too though. You feel what I'm saying? And I feel the difference is that red pill, bro, their narratives may come from a place of just like having been destroyed. You know what I'm saying? A place of damage, having been damaged like over and over again, and just like the revenge. You know what I'm saying? Like revenge. I feel like that's revenge corn for sure. That's revenge corn for sure. Red pill stuff, you know what I mean? But then this one right here, this one can reflect on points where being by yourself, understanding your own self, facing your own darkness, your own shadow self in that sense, where it's the self we're fighting, not women, not females, right? It does kind of give you the kind of hard exterior that a red pill kind of male may look up to, but you know, that's not what we're doing. That's far from what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? In my POV of things, right?
Are often assumed to know more than they do.
Yeah.
Mystery amplifies presence, and emotional control is the root of mystery. You
Right.
can always tell who has mastered themselves by how little external chaos affects them.
Yeah, for
When
sure.
someone with emotional control is insulted, they don't flinch. When they're praised, they don't melt. When they lose something valuable, they observe their own pain but don't drown in it. That doesn't mean they don't feel. It means they refuse to be enslaved by what they feel. In fact, one of the most dangerous illusions people live under is that expressing every emotion equals authenticity. That's not authenticity, that's
nah.
dependency. Because what you're really saying is, I can't hold what I feel unless someone sees it. But self-mastery means you can hold an entire storm inside you without needing the world to validate it.
Yeah.
It means your emotions exist for you, not for public display.
Nice.
And here's the paradox. Once you stop being controlled by your emotions,
Yeah.
you become infinitely more capable of using them. Anger becomes charisma. Fear becomes foresight. Sadness becomes depth. Because instead of emotions hijacking you, you channel them.
Damn, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think these are one of the videos where I might need to keep reminding myself like what these things are actually supposed to mean. You know what I mean? Things like sadness, like nah, there's something wrong. You know what I mean? That may just mean to a modern mind, that may mean yo, something's wrong with me. You know what I mean? Blah blah, all melancholic, all sorrowful. No, it's depth. It's you going deeper into yourself. You know what I mean? That's why you keep to yourself. That's why you're really not in the mood to speak to anybody, bro. I feel like, you know, it's just within it's in the meaning of the language. People get like lost in, you know, lost in translation. I don't know if I'm using that in the right context, but I'm thinking just, you know, the reality of just switching the meaning of what something currently means. You know what I'm saying? And making it mean something constructive. You know what I mean? I feel like that's how you even can switch something dark into something that becomes a positive force for you. Hey, that might be deep for some of y'all. Let me let it breathe a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Let me let big homie continue.
Like
right
an artist, you use the colors of human experience intentionally,
Nice.
not impulsively.
Okay.
Now, ask yourself, how many of your worst decisions came from emotion, not logic? How many times did you speak too soon, trust too quickly, or
Still
quit
do.
too early because you couldn't
Often.
stand the emotional discomfort?
Yeah.
Machiavelli would say, most people's downfall isn't external, it's their inability to tolerate internal chaos.
For real?
If you can remain calm when your heart is screaming, you are already rare. If you can plan while others panic, you are already powerful. And this doesn't just apply to conflict. It applies to love, ambition, failure. The one who can remain emotionally grounded when rejected, when ignored, when betrayed, becomes unstoppable. Because they've removed the one weapon others unconsciously use against them, the ability to trigger them. That's why Machiavelli's greatest lesson on self-mastery can be summarized in one principle: control your state, and you control your fate. You may not always control events, but you can control your interpretation of them. And that is enough to turn any loss into wisdom, any pain into strength, any insult into composure. Because the world bends to those who can keep their center when everyone else is losing theirs.
Nice.
It's not an easy art, but those who commit to mastering it find a kind of freedom most people never taste. The freedom of...
I feel like that's the true 1% type shit, right? It's not like the whole 1% thing. Yes, it's a narrative that probably, you know, talks about probably finances and wealth and, you know, material gains and all things like this. But I feel like psychologically, if you can be this kind of person that's described here, be the kind of person that can center yourself. I'm saying, not like be hit by waves, you know, and energetic waves where your whole emotional body is just acting out of body. You know what I'm saying? Having an out of body experience to a point where you can't even control your own self, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, yo, when we get to the point of mastering that kind of shit where, you know, the stoicism, it's stoicism, right? That he's describing here, right? The stoicism, you know, the whole keeping, even like things like breathing. I think that's where that comes in. You know, the breathing exercises when things is chaotic around you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's the end all and be all of just like self mastery in terms of the emotion, right? Controlling the emotion. I don't think that's the end all and be all, but it's definitely a big contributor, dog, to just like self wholeness. You feel what I'm saying, though? You dig me?
of not needing to react, the quiet power of choosing your response, the stillness that unnerves louder men. That is the essence of Machiavellian self-mastery. To remain unshaken in a shaking world, to be the calm eye inside every storm. Because the truth is, your emotions aren't meant to rule you, they're meant to reveal you. And once you understand that, once you can feel everything, yet show nothing until it serves your purpose, you no longer live as a pawn of impulse. You live as the strategist of your own mind. And from that point on, no one can take your power because it no longer depends on anything outside of you.
That's good.
Emotional control also requires detachment, not from life, but from identification. Most people identify with their emotions. They say, I am angry, I am sad, I am afraid. They make the feeling their identity. But Machiavellian self-mastery begins...
They make the feeling their identity. Talk to me nice, my boy. Talk to me nice. Where you at, my boy co-pilot? What's up? Oh my... Don't do the sign-in thing, bruh. Golly, now I even forgot my point, bruh. I forgot the point that I was trying to make, bruh. Oh my god!
With their emotions, they say, I am angry, I am sad.
Oh yeah, hold on. I think I'll remember it now.
Hey there. Good to chat with you. What's on your mind today?
What's the psychology behind
I
individual?
can't discuss the content of this page.
Bro,
Is it-
chill. Yo, what's the psychology behind an individual identifying themselves with an emotion?
When someone identifies with an emotion, it's often tied to their personal experiences, beliefs, and how they perceive the world around them. It's basically their way of making sense of complex feelings and connecting them to their identity. This identification can influence their behavior, choices, and even their mental health. It's pretty fascinating how our minds work, right?
Right.
I am afraid. They make the feeling their identity.
Okay.
But Machiavellian self-mastery begins when you realize you are not your emotions, you are the one observing them.
For real?
The storm is real, but you are the sky it moves through. Once you grasp that, everything changes. Because when you're no longer the storm, you no longer fight it. You
see.
study it, and then you decide what to do with it. Machiavelli
Yes,
believed
yes.
that the strongest rulers were those who could rise above their own temperament. He saw that the downfall of many powerful men wasn't caused by their enemies. It was caused by their inability to step outside themselves. A ruler consumed by passion or pride becomes predictable, and once predictable, he becomes vulnerable. You can't outsmart the world if you can't outsmart your own impulses.
Facts.
That's why you'll often see that those who seem emotionless aren't truly cold.
Okay.
They've simply learned not to make every emotion.
Yes, bro. And that's the whole thing. Like, okay, I think I chopped up what I think about usually, like when I'm just like bored and just like staring into space, you know? This is one other thing that I think about is the fact that, yo, people that are just like not showing emotion, it doesn't mean they don't have emotion, bro. They're human beings, dog. What are we talking about? Right? Every human being is born with, you know, built-in emotion, bro. What are we talking about? You feel me? So it's not that they're emotionless. The emotionless thing is only the perception, right? They have their emotion. They just have a different way of just harnessing those emotions out, right? Directing those emotions out. They have their own way of doing it. Not their own way, but like a more contained way, controlled way, mastered way. Nah, you know what I'm saying? But like, well, the goal is to master these ways, type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Emotion public. They feel deeply, but selectively.
Yeah, for real.
They've realized that emotion loses its strength when
I
it
see
leaks
that,
everywhere.
for sure.
So they conserve it. They hold it back, build
Conserve
pressure,
it.
and
Conserve it. You feel me? Yeah, they express those emotions in a more conservative way. Conservative. Okay, cool.
release it only when it serves a purpose.
Why, though?
That's what makes their presence feel so controlled,
Nice.
even intimidating. It's not that they lack emotion, it's that they've domesticated it. But emotional control doesn't mean suppression either.
Tamed it.
Suppression creates pressure, and pressure eventually explodes.
And builds diamonds too. I've heard. I don't know. I've heard. Not bad.
Machiavelli's form of mastery is awareness, not denial.
For real?
It's knowing why something stirs you before deciding what to do about it.
Nice.
For example, if someone insults you and you instantly react, you've given them control.
For real?
But if you feel that sting, acknowledge it,
Yeah.
and still choose your response, you've just proven power over yourself. That's how power builds, through countless small victories in the invisible moments no one sees.
Sure.
Think of it this way.
Why?
Emotional control is a game of energy conservation. Every outburst, every unnecessary argument, every complaint drains power.
And would you say that's transmuting the energy, right? Wait, let me see. How do you transmute energy?
Hey there. Good to chat again.
What?
What's on your mind?
What is one way
I'm
of
unable to discuss.
Wait,
the
man,
content
let me finish my shit. What is one way of transmuting emotional energy?
One powerful way to transmute emotional energy is through creative expression. Whether it's painting, writing, music, or dance, channeling your feelings into a creative outlet can transform negative emotions into something beautiful and meaningful.
Nice. Nice.
Machiavelli would say the wise conserve emotional energy like a general conserves troops. They don't waste them on meaningless skirmishes.
That's good.
They wait for decisive moments where that energy can create maximum effect.
That's good.
This is why the calm and calculating often outperform the passionate and reactive. They simply outlast them. And yet, this discipline doesn't mean living a dull, emotionless life. Quite the opposite.
Oh my God, you just clarified that shit to me. You know, this is one of my fears. Yo, I'm getting a little, let me get a little vulnerable with you, right? So one of my fears is the fact that, yo, I'm actually one of the, you know, I'm one person that's practicing these things. That's why I told you in the beginning of this. I don't know if it's on this take or in the take that I just deleted. I literally deleted a recording take that I just did. You know what I'm saying? Because, I tripped off of some shit. Shit was mad awkward. I do get mad awkward. That's why I'm trying to what? Regulate my emotional body, regulate my emotions, try and master this shit like how homies doing, telling this shit, right? So, but then the thing is, I get afraid because now I become this stoic guy, right? That has this emotionless perception about him. You know what I'm saying? And then now that scares me into thinking that, you know, I might just be this cold person, just like dead person, like non-responsive, no life, no, you know what I'm saying? Whereas again, changing the meaning of what I'm doing, I'm actually not dying, conserving life. Oh, please, yes sir, come on, we're conserving this life, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason, bro.
When you master emotion, life actually becomes richer. You begin to see
richer, bro, not duller, bro. I be thinking that shit becomes dull and shit like that. Nah, bro. It's just, you know what I'm saying? I feel like once you are in those environments where you feel like that, it's just environments that like don't see the value, and you yourself don't feel the value being appreciated from who you really are. Facts. You
see
feel
through
me?
illusions, your own and others.
Nice.
You stop mistaking temporary feelings for permanent truths.
Dope.
You can feel anger without becoming cruel. You can feel fear without becoming paralyzed.
Ow.
You can feel love without becoming blind. Because mastery doesn't remove emotion, it refines it. There's a hidden advantage here, too. When you control your emotional reactions, people start projecting their assumptions onto you.
Why?
They fill in the silence with their own fears or fantasies.
Yeah.
You become unreadable, and unreadable people are powerful. Because uncertainty breeds fascination.
And mystery.
People start wondering, what is he thinking? What does she feel? Why isn't this getting to them? And while they're busy guessing, you're
Oh, and don't let them ask that question, bro. Don't let them ask, why is this shit not getting to this guy or girl or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because once it gets to that, it's like you drive them crazy. It's like you awaken more demons from them niggas. You know what I'm saying? They become more aggravated. They just want to fight you. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, chill. You know what I'm saying? Chill, bruh. You good, Mud?
busy
You know what I mean?
planning. To cultivate this kind of control, you need what Machiavelli would call internal diplomacy.
Oh.
You must become both the ruler and the citizen of your own mind.
Crazy.
When rage rises, negotiate with it. When envy whispers, listen to what it wants to teach you.
Nice.
When sadness lingers, treat it like an advisor, not an invader. The more you understand each emotion's language, the easier it becomes to command them. You're not suppressing your emotional army, you're leading it.
You're leading it. Understand your emotions' language.
One of the most underestimated truths about emotion is that it always seeks expression.
Nice.
If you don't express it consciously, it leaks unconsciously. It shows in your tone, your posture, your words, your decisions. Emotional control, then, is about giving each emotion the right outlet. Anger can fuel progress. Fear can sharpen caution.
Yeah.
Desire can drive creation.
Yeah.
But left unmanaged, all three can destroy. The same fire that forges can also consume. Machiavelli knew that most men burn from their own flames long before their enemies touch them.
Whoa.
Let's bring this closer to real life.
Why?
You're in a heated discussion and someone deliberately provokes you. The old you would have snapped, raised your voice, maybe said something you'd regret later. But self-mastery looks different. You feel the heat rise, but you let the silence linger. You observe their words, their tone, their motive. You realize they want to see you break composure, so you don't give it to them. You let their energy expend itself while yours remains still.
That's crazy.
That's not weakness, it's dominance of a higher order.
That's crazy.
Machiavelli would argue that every conflict has two layers, the visible and the psychological.
Yeah.
The visible one is what people see, the argument, the exchange, the noise. But the psychological one decides who truly wins. The one who remains emotionally controlled always holds the psychological high ground.
Right.
They decide when the conversation ends, when it escalates, when it resolves. They're not reacting, they're orchestrating. And you'll notice once you begin mastering emotion, your perception of power changes. You stop chasing it. You stop needing validation or revenge.
That's right.
You start realizing that most power in this world comes not from control over others, but from control over yourself in front of others.
Yeah.
That's the quiet revolution Machiavelli points toward. It's not about appearing powerful, it's about becoming immovable from within. The irony is, people will often misinterpret your calmness. They'll call you detached, arrogant, even emotionless. That's fine. Let them.
Fine.
Because what they call detachment is simply your refusal to dance to their emotional
That's what I'm
tune.
saying.
You've stopped being a puppet of impulse, and to those who still are, that looks unnatural. But in truth, it's the next stage of evolution, the shift from being driven by emotion to driving with it. Eventually, you'll notice a strange peace forming inside you.
For real?
The same events that once triggered you barely shake you anymore.
Yeah.
Not because you don't care, but because you've seen the pattern. You've seen how temporary emotions try to trick you into permanent decisions.
That's right.
You've learned to wait them out. You know that behind every emotional wave, clarity eventually follows.
Yeah.
That patience is the mark of mastery. And once you reach that stage,
Even post-nut clarity, guys. Do your homework.
something even deeper happens. You stop fearing emotion itself. You stop labeling them as good or bad, strong or weak. They're just signals. You stop chasing happiness or avoiding anger.
Stop that shit. Now.
You see both as parts of the same mechanism, the pulse of being human.
Yo.
Machiavelli's form of self-mastery isn't about becoming a god. It's about mastering humanity, so you can use it wisely.
Yeah.
The real art lies in balance.
Real art.
Too much control, and you become rigid. Too little, and you become reckless. The mastery Machiavelli speaks of is fluid. It adjusts to the moment.
Adjust to the moment. Do what the current moment requires of you. That's it. That's all. It doesn't go any further than that.
You can be soft.
Until current moment requires that we go further than that. It don't go further than any of that. I ain't
Without
gonna
being
lie.
weak, decisive without being cruel, calm without being indifferent.
Yeah.
Emotional control doesn't erase emotion.
What does it
It
do?
teaches it how to bow to reason.
Nice.
So the next time you feel overwhelmed by anger, jealousy,
What else?
sadness,
What else?
don't fight it. Observe it. Name it. Ask it what it wants.
What it
Then
wants.
decide if that serves your greater strategy. Because that's the difference.
What it wants. Does it serve my greatest purpose? My greatest strategy?
Between being emotional and being powerful. The emotional man acts first and regrets later. The powerful man understands first and acts when it counts.
Real shit.
And this practice isn't just for power in politics or relationships. It's for life itself. When you can hold stillness inside chaos, when you can feel deeply without drowning, when you can stand in fire and not burn, you become the kind of person Machiavelli wrote about, the one who bends the world by mastering himself first. The world will always try to provoke you through insult, temptation, fear, desire.
That's crazy.
But remember this, control is contagious. When others see you calm in the face of provocation, they adjust to your rhythm. You set the emotional tone of the environment. That's how quiet dominance works.
That's it.
The one who controls emotion controls the room. The one who controls the room controls the outcome. And the one who controls himself controls all. Here's the final secret of emotional control most people never grasp.
Where is it?
It's not about winning every internal battle. It's about knowing which ones are worth fighting. There are emotions that deserve to be felt, to be honored, to be lived through. And then there are emotions that exist only to distract you, to bait you into wasting energy on things that don't move your life forward. Machiavelli's genius wasn't in being emotionless. It was in discrimination. He could tell which emotions sharpened his judgment and which ones dulled it. The true master learns this difference over time. Every emotion carries a cost. Anger costs clarity. Envy costs gratitude. Fear costs opportunity. And yet, if used strategically, each of those same emotions can also become a tool. Anger can expose where your boundaries are being crossed. Envy can highlight the potential you've been ignoring. Fear can reveal where growth is waiting. The key isn't to erase emotion. It's to use its information without letting it hijack your execution. Most people's emotions own them because they've never taken time to observe their emotional cycles.
Seriously.
Notice how they repeat, how the same things trigger you again and again.
Yeah.
The same patterns of anger, the same disappointments, the same insecurity wrapped in new situations. That repetition isn't bad luck, it's programming. And until you break that pattern by recognizing it in real time, it will keep running your life. Machiavelli's form of self-mastery is reprogramming through awareness. Once you can name your emotional pattern, you no longer obey it. Now let's talk about control in motion, because emotional control isn't built in meditation rooms or theory. It's built in friction. When someone provokes you, when things fall apart, when you're embarrassed or rejected, that's when emotional mastery is forged. Every emotional surge is a weight, and your ability to stay centered under that weight determines your strength. The heavier the emotion you can hold without reacting, the more power you have. Machiavelli would remind you that emotion is contagious. The one who remains calm in chaos becomes the anchor everyone subconsciously looks toward. In meetings, in crises, in arguments, if you can control your tone, your breathing, your pace of speech, you start controlling others without them realizing it.
You start controlling others without realizing it. Now, I want you to imagine like the role of the leader, my boy. You know what I'm saying? You don't only just lead with, you know what I mean? Like the role that you have to play as per whatever is written in black and white, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Theoretically, how you're supposed to move, but in how you breathe, my boy, in how you strategize, and how you think. You understand what I'm saying? Because those kind of decisions, you know what I'm saying? Even things like your decision making, my boy. That's how you lead without literally just, you know, being the emptiest can, aka being the can that's the loudest in the room. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. Like, I'm big homie cooking right here. You feel me? Truth. Come on.
Because emotion seeks equilibrium. People want to match the emotional energy of the most grounded person in the room.
Let's get it.
That's leadership without words.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
here's where self-mastery reaches its highest level,
Where?
using emotion as performance.
Nice.
The Machiavellian doesn't just control emotion internally, he learns to display emotion strategically.
Yeah.
If showing anger intimidates, he uses it. If showing empathy disarms, he uses that too. It's not deception, it's precision. Because mastery of emotion doesn't mean you never act emotional. It means your emotions always serve your outcome.
Yeah.
You can raise your voice without losing control,
That's it.
smile without sincerity if it achieves peace, or show vulnerability to gain trust, all while staying rooted in self-awareness. This level of control unnerves people. They sense you feel deeply, yet they can't tell what truly affects you.
Nice.
They'll test you, trying to see if they can make you react, make you flinch, make you crack. But when you hold your line, when you remain consistent no matter what emotional bait they throw, something shifts. They start respecting you in ways they can't articulate. Because humans instinctively bow to those who cannot be easily moved. That's why in Machiavellian philosophy, emotional control isn't just self-defense, it's offense. You don't just protect yourself from being manipulated, you begin to read others through their emotions. Every outburst, every hesitation.
So like, you know, the pattern that I'm beginning to even pick up is the fact that, yo, the more you even have this kind of mastery upon your own self, is the more you can even spot it in other people. You know what I'm saying? Now, what a skill to have, right? What a tool to have at your disposal when you know that you can even spot, you know, things like bullshit tendencies from other people from a mile away. You know what I'm saying? Before it even kind of happens. You know what I mean? So it goes above and beyond just like self-control or being able to control your own self, but you know, not to say control others, but see when the control from others is trying to latch onto you. Come on, bro, that's a bar, my boy. You got a pen, something like a pad, something, bro? Are you writing shit down? Anything?
Every sigh
Be
becomes
cooking.
data. When
Let's
people
do it.
lose emotional control, they
happens?
reveal their weaknesses.
Nice.
Their needs, fears, and insecurities spill out. And if you're calm enough to listen between their words, you'll see their entire strategy unfold before they realize they've exposed it. But this awareness comes with responsibility, because the temptation to use emotional insight for cruelty is strong, and Machiavellian mastery without morality becomes emptiness dressed as wisdom. Control means nothing if it disconnects you from your humanity. The goal is to rule yourself, not erase yourself. A cold strategist without emotional intelligence isn't powerful, he's hollow. Power is not found in eliminating emotion, but in transcending it, while still being able to connect, influence, and feel when it serves truth. So, emotional control is not the art of detachment, it's the art of alignment. Aligning what you feel with what you aim for. When your emotions move in the same direction as your purpose, you become unstoppable. There's no internal friction, no wasted energy, no mental noise. Every feeling becomes fuel, even pain, especially pain. Because pain is information. It tells you what you still care about, what still controls you, and where you still have room to evolve. Here's the paradox Machiavelli would appreciate.
Where is it?
Control doesn't make you rigid, it makes you fluid. You don't cling to fixed emotional identities anymore. You don't label yourself as confident, stoic, fearless, or kind. You simply become adaptable. One day silent, one day expressive, one day firm, one day forgiving, whatever the situation demands. That's the real sophistication of self-mastery. You become unpredictable, not because you're inconsistent, but because you're responsive only to truth, not emotion. When you reach that point, your presence begins to change. People sense something about you they can't explain. It's not charisma in the usual sense, it's steadiness. They feel safe around you, or intimidated by you, depending on who they are. Your calm exposes their chaos. Your patience reveals their impatience. That's how control radiates. It doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. Eventually, you stop trying to control emotion and start dancing with it. You allow it to flow through you, but you never drown in it. Anger passes through without burning you. Fear passes through without freezing you. Love passes through without blinding you. You begin to experience life more fully, yet act more wisely. That's the balance most never find, feeling everything, but being owned by nothing. That's what Machiavelli's guide to self-mastery truly points toward. Not a heartless existence, but an elevated one. The kind of life where no insult, no rejection, no chaos can throw you off your center. Where your mood no longer depends on others' behavior. Where your sense of self is so rooted that you don't need to prove it. You observe, you adapt, you act, but you never react. And when you get there, when you truly master this art, the world starts playing by your rhythm. Because people who cannot control their emotions will always orbit around those who can. They'll seek your calm when they're lost, your certainty when they're afraid, your presence when they're chaotic. And that's the silent power Machiavelli understood best, the kind that doesn't need to be shown, only felt. Emotional control isn't the end of emotion, it's the beginning of power. Not the kind that conquers others, but the kind that conquers chaos. The power to move through life untouched by manipulation, unmoved by flattery, and unbroken by failure. The power to feel everything, yet remain master of yourself. Because when you master your emotions, you don't just gain control, you gain freedom. The rarest kind there is.
You feel what I'm saying though? So nah, but look though, this like all of this is it's a pretty it's the type of way that's worth investing in when we talking about the right way to mature, bro. You know what I'm saying? And this one, like, I wanna direct this one to, like, you know, the males out there. You feel me? You know, the human beings that go from boys to men out there. Yes, this is, like, on the general scope of things, it's a really good human developer in terms of, you know, well, with regards to content. It's the kind of content that develops you, like, the way you should. Humans in general, right? But, like, for, like, the guys out there, bro, like, there's a whole lot of gems that, as a guy, you would begin to understand what you've been misunderstanding. You understand? Bar. You feel me? It's like, yo, a whole lot of things have been just, like, misguided information that you've received. You understand what I'm saying? Because when we talk of things that, you know, when we speak of just being, what was the word he used, bro? Inconsistent, but not because, you know, not just like remaining as one thing, but inconsistent in the form of just like changing with the seasons, being able to change with the seasons. So yes, seasons are consistently just 4 seasons, just like 4 seasons. That's all you get, but they change. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the current moment requires of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Is that change? That's the biggest thing. That's the most painful thing. Is the change. Whenever the current moment requires, whatever circumstance we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Regarding whatever circumstance that we speak of. And so that's, if you think about it, that's what aggravates things like emotional reactions. You know what I'm saying? It's yes, it's abrupt moments. It's maybe uncomfortable, inconveniencing type moments. That, but that's what the change is. It's those moments, right? It's just an interruption in the harmony of things. You understand what I'm saying? And obviously that chain reaction just, it can affect you emotionally type thing. Now, you know what I mean? If you can keep your calm, keep your sense of centeredness, you know, whatever the situation presents to you, you do become that leader. You know what I'm saying? This was a point that came up. You know what I'm saying? You do become that leader that even society, you know what I'm saying, could use with, you know, men that are developed this way. If you get what I'm talking about, right? Instead of the whole misguided information where a man gotta be, you know, XYZ to prove that he's a man. You know what I'm saying? The size of his pockets, the size of his meat, man. What? I know you know those narratives, bro. I know you heard about that. Feel me? But then if you look at channels like Truth, you know what I'm saying? Then you have then you get a better idea that, okay, yes, it's within the scope of just like like this is general wisdom for general humanity. You know what I mean? But begin to apply it in your role in this life, like as a man, bro. Feel me? And I feel like a whole lot of things would just like turn out, you know, different, like at least a bit better than how they are in terms of the standard that man is you know, is supposed to, I don't know, live to be considered a man. It's crazy. You feel what I'm saying? But then again, you know, you attach yourself to just like constructive psychology, dog. And, you know, Truth got it. You know what I mean? Truth got it. The art of emotional control, dog. You know what I mean? Control your emotions. And I don't even, like, it's not even giving a sense of narcissistic. You know, when you I think dive into, you know, topics like this, like controlling something, whether it's controlling your thoughts, controlling your desires, controlling this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? When we hear control, it's easy to latch onto the concept of narcissism. You feel what I'm saying? Where it's like, yo, this, you know, tug of war. Well, it's not even tug of war, but it's just like this exchange between the superior and the inferior, and just like the whole, you know, that engagement just like being all negative and things like, it's like, nah, bro. But in a healthy way. That's why I pointed out the fact that maybe changing the meaning of you know, standards that we've put for ourselves. Like, for example, as I'm saying, I'm pointing out, you know what I'm saying, to y'all boys out there, to the males out there, in terms of tap into this channel, man. Truth, you know, tap into that channel and tap into, you know, the art of controlling your emotions. You know what I'm saying? It could be like, I feel like it's very beneficial. You know Yeah, man. It was an interesting title that I felt like, yeah, let's dive into it, man, and let's see what this art is about, right? This art of controlling your emotions, man. I mean, it could, like, the world needs it, especially right now. Everybody reactive as they are, bruh. Come on, buddy. Okay, we got my boy SOLLUMINATI
Spiritual soul in the
building. Yeah, in the building. Okay, he's gonna do the whole introducing himself. I mean, a whole lot of y'all already know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? When we speak of Gazer, you know what I'm saying? He's breaking down the Watchers. So we're gonna go ahead and just like let him proceed and shit.
building. Geyser, geyser.
That's it.
Nature so in the building, man. Sample.
Do it.
Geyser, geyser. In the building. Dewey so in the building.
Dewey.
Smooth skin so in the building, man. Sample.
We're working on that.
Simple.
Right.
Now check this out, man.
Alright.
So look. I'm in the house right now. So listen.
Why?
This is gonna be a very, I'm looking, okay, right here. This is gonna be a very, very important video. I want y'all to sit back, get your popcorn for this one. Do what you need to do. Sit your ass down, be patient, listen to it like a podcast. I don't care what you do, but take this shit in. This is one of them videos that I supposed to have dropped a couple years ago when I was actually deep into like this particular thing. And for some of y'all that don't know, I lost my brother, and ever since I lost my brother, there's no more fear. There's no more. I have experienced the worst. It's basically, it is what it is, bro.
It is what it is.
Like, what's good, my nigga?
Alright.
What are you gonna do next? It don't matter to me no more.
Real?
So I'm going deeper than I'm sitting in the dark. The shadow work, the parasites, the fake demons that we thought was really bothering us.
Right.
All type of shit. I'm there. When you're talking about astrodynamics, I've been studying, doing astro traveling for over 2 years. I'm not gonna come on this bitch saying too much because I'm nothing special. I'm just reminding you. Of course, niggas want you to say, and that's what this video is about. Look.
Right.
Has now access to your FaceTime. What? Something just popped up on my whole fucking screen, so I had to see it. What? My iPad now has access to my face. Nothing. How?
Ow.
My iPad not even on.
Right.
But listen, this is what this video is about. I'm gonna call this video The Watchers.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of y'all are on a spiritual path. You starting to get back on your feet. A lot of y'all is newbies. A lot of y'all coming from religions.
Right.
A lot of y'all is coming from every aspect in this fucking matrix. And it don't matter what frequency or vibration you have, you can be affected by this.
What you mean?
And whenever I tell you about a parasite, I'm always gonna give you a formula to defeat that bitch. I ain't never gonna lead you astray to where you can't protect yourself.
Yeah, nah, I know.
You can protect yourself no matter what when you're the chosen ones.
Nah, that's